what it is. So we're gonna hop right to it, right? So for all my $11.99 SEIU members out there, as I said, I've been on a sabbatical. However, many of the individuals that I used to deal with in this ongoing battle for our rights as union members are still sending me receipts. So I want to take this opportunity to speak about a few truths. And I saw someone 2 days ago actually shared on their Facebook some of the frustration that they're having as far as trying to get the truth out, to which I replied, it's never going to work. So now I want to show you why. I know over the past I have said things that people interpret how they internalize the words that I'm using. But this is why I talk about dealing with facts over your emotions and then basing your response to your reality on those facts. So today I want to stand on facts and let's have this conversation. So I'm going to throw some images up on the screen and we're going to have this conversation together because I think what's happening right now is a perfect opportunity to show in real time how everything that I said is going to happen is literally playing out. I'm taking my emotions out of this. I've had to take my emotions out of this because all of us have been indoctrinated with our own implicit bias. Whether we want to admit it or not, they exist. We all have them, and that's me, including myself. That being said, I'm going to set those to the side, and I'm going to show you what's going on. So, the first image I'm going to throw up is the last image for the league contract being ratified. And it talked about all the things that they were going to give and what was coming. You'll see it there up on the screen, right? The fifth down checkbox, a new immigration legal defense fund. Okay, now we're going to go to the next flyer put out by the current administration, Members First Unity Slate. The next one was for immigration information and support workshops. Now remember, part of that new contract was they set aside $2 million. $2 million to put towards the immigration issue. And this is where that fine line is that people are conflating or playing semantics with to move the bar. So now I'm going to take you to this image here, which was sent to me. Now, I'm going to read it with you. Dear family, forwarding the update below from Alec. The D.C. District Court has lifted the injunction protecting TPS and work authorizations. No formal government announcements yet, but we have to assume TPS is terminated and related work authorizations are no longer valid. A sad day. We'll follow up as more information comes in. So understand, when all this is going on, they know in advance, just like what happened with COVID and the vaccine. That was determined to be unconstitutional, yet the union has yet to fight to get anyone their jobs back, but NYPD did, and so did the fire department. But let me stay on track. So the next thing I'm going to put up is from the contract, right? And here we have here, Immigration Legal Defense Fund. The parties agree to take all steps necessary and appropriate to establish a jointly administered Taft-Hartley Immigration Legal Defense Fund. The purpose of the fund shall be to provide immigration legal counsel to league employees who have issues concerning their work authorization status. You see, that came before immigration. Work authorization status. All right. Now, let's start connecting some of these dots. After that came from high up, all. At some point this morning, the D.C. District Court lifted the injunction that had preserved TPS and work, there goes that word again, authorizations. Although there have been no announcement from the government, we have to assume that TPS is terminated and related work authorizations are no longer valid. I don't know whether we'll receive a formal update from USCIS or they'll stick with July 26, 2026 termination date previously announced. As of now, 1199 can no longer argue that TPS work authorizations remain valid. Instead, I recommend we focus on obtaining unpaid leave for people to seek alternative work authorization while we try to get people connected with immigration law consultations if they do not already have an immigration lawyer working actively on their behalf. The next image sent. Good morning, everyone. I hope that no one in this group is under the terrible immigration situation. Excellent workshop last night. Just FYI for you, or just to share with other members, families, or friends. As of today, regardless of the Supreme Court decision, no one should be placed off duty by the employer. TPS by past practices is continuing, extended by short periods of a week, etc. Also, 1199 will provide you with resources for assistance for the 5 states. 1199 Union, reach out. Don't hesitate. So now what they're saying is that they're not going to go along with federal mandates, which is against the law. Just pay attention. We're dealing with the facts, not how they may make us feel or how the words may elicit a response out of us, because they use certain words to trigger us. Now, so if you remember before, which I'll put up on the screen right quick, just to refresh your memory, when I spoke about the healthcare system in New York City. Who we know who she is. If you've forgotten, let me refresh your memory.
Black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word computer is. They don't know. They don't know these things. And I want the world open up to all of them, because when you have their diverse.
So people that say we're all one, now I have to ask myself, why would black people associate themselves with someone that says that about black people? But then, oh, okay, I remember. So now we're going to take this walk, and just stay with me. Trust me, it'll all make sense. All right, so I'm back, right? Now, follow me, right? I really was wondering, what's the deal with this agenda, and why are they pushing it so hard, especially when they fight so hard, not for naturalized, but for illegals. This is where your tax dollars and your union dues are going. So according to the state and national data tool, right here, right, what it tracks, because 1199 SEIU is the largest in New York City, CMS data is invaluable. Their local reporting establishes that immigrants make up roughly 57% of New York City's overall healthcare workforce, including an overwhelming 73% of all home health aides. Now stay with me. All right, now that being said, let's refresh all of our memories on what the legal definition of an immigrant is, because what you have to understand is that when all of these things that are going on in the background, it's all done under color of law. It has nothing to do with your beliefs, your ideologies, or your feelings. Get out of them. No one cares about how any of us feel. We only care about what we can prove. And that's why I had to go on sabbatical, because the things that people say they have to prove never seem to materialize. But another topic for another day. So I asked, what is the definition, legal definition of an immigrant? Yes, you are both an immigrant and full citizen if you acquired your citizenship through naturalization after moving to a new country. While you hold all legal rights and responsibilities of citizenship, such as voting and holding a passport, you remain a foreign-born immigrant in terms of your personal history and background. However, key point in the caveat, and what ties it all in and makes this the most important, in strictly legal or governmental sense, under color of law, you are no longer classified as an immigrant once you become a citizen. Example, the Department of Homeland Security defines an immigrant as a person lawfully in the country who is not a citizen. Lawfully in the country who's not a citizen, which is people that are either here on TPS, claiming asylum, H-1B visas, which offers work permit authorizations. But people that are here on DACA and people that just came and are claiming asylum are here illegally, under color of the law. Again, not how we feeling, we're dealing with the facts. Now I want to explain why that is so important to you and for you. Now, as you know, when it comes to New York City healthcare workforce, 57% of hospital workers in New York City and upstate, and 73% of home health aides in New York City and upstate are all, under color of law, are all immigrants, which means they are not naturalized citizens in any way, shape, or form. What that also means, if they're being counted as immigrants, there's a portion of them that are here on DACA, claiming asylum, or TPS. Now, I want you to understand, why would the union administration, as well as their political allies, create a system where 57% of a workforce on one end and 73% on the other end are all non-citizens, non-Americans? A portion of that workforce's whole existence on this country was contingent on temporary protected status, which means at any moment those people could be removed from the workforce. But a large portion of them are also illegal. So now, and this is where I talk about the semantics and the conflation of the facts come in. Now let's zero in and understand what that means for all of you. So of that 57% and that 73%, what does that mean for you? Well, we're all residents in a sanctuary city, which means in sanctuary cities, they do not work with federal law enforcement when it comes to immigration status. Something that has been being done for years. Barack Obama deported more illegal aliens than any president in history, and he did it in a manner where they can no longer return. These people now are just being returned home. But what you have to understand then is that if the 57% of them are considered immigrants under the law, then that means that they're not naturalized citizens, because those statistics are kept or recorded under what constitutes an immigrant or a citizen under color of law. So we'll use what's happening with Haitians right now. There's a large portion of New York City workforce that can no longer work. But why was a system predicated, their future predicated on a workforce that they knew was here temporarily? Because they can underpay these people. You can look up the statistics. They have already studied people on H-1B visas. They work more hours for less pay. Pay attention to what's been happening systematically to the contract. Every year, the contract gets worse and worse and worse, to the point now they're not even meeting the annual cost of living. People are being violated. The CBA is not being upheld, and the union refuses to represent anybody. That's why there's a backlog of grievances that haven't been heard since before COVID. People are not going to arbitration because they're not representing anybody, because they're banking on that 57% not even filing any complaints, because they know if they do, that puts them on the federal radar. And now they have a target on their back for removal. So when you ask yourself, why isn't anything getting done? That's why. These people are scared to step out and tell their truth. And there's not enough of you out there to stand on or actually tell your truth. And by that, now I want to get into the cognitive dissonance, or the Stockholm syndrome of all of this. Now, I spoke to my elder, pardon me, I even spoke to my mother about this because it weighed that heavy on me. And they all told me, don't lose yourself in the semantics of all the bullshit that's given up, and operate in love. So everything I'm about to say, I'm saying out of love. But this was a conversation that I had with what I would consider an elder about this whole situation and what needs to be done. And this is what I mean about cognitive dissonance and suffering from Stockholm syndrome and wanting to believe a lie. So again, I'm not doing this to embarrass anybody. I'm not trying to out anyone. This is why I will block everything in the screen. But we were having a conversation because everyone up to this point that I've spoken to who was next to George all said the same thing, that when it came to politics, George always said, the union does not have a political stance. They align themselves with who gives them the best treatment for the workers in the moment. Yet, as we see, the new administration has aligned themselves with the Democratic Socialist arm of the Democratic Party. But I know what I was taught as a child, and socialism is the gateway to communism, and these people are telling you exactly what they're doing. But all I hear in return when I bring these things up is that, well, what about the white man? And this is what I talk about: identity politics, the manipulation and the brainwashing. Because does white supremacy exist? Yes, it does. But if we follow the paper trail, the same people that just got caught funding the Southern Poverty Law Center, who's been working with the Ku Klux Klan for decades, are the same people who fund the Democratic Socialist Party. They're the same people that fund AIPAC. They're the same people that funded LULAC and the NAACP, who brought to you Margaret Sanger, honorary Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. And the black men that brought her to the black community knew who she was and what she was doing. They have been using your identity and your implicit bias because you associate everything with skin color. And it's just a fact. I'm saying this as someone that has lived it and done it myself. I had to break myself out of that. And I can show and prove to you how everything that I said in the past up to now has come true, even in this situation. Why? Because implicit bias for a coalition that does not exist, that was made up by white supremacists to use you. So now, let's get into this. So we were having a conversation. Now, everyone loves Mondami, right? Because, you know, I hear my people complain a lot about white supremacy and cultural appropriation. And I watched a whole lot of my people just get hoodwinked by Kamala Harris the last election. But since with everything going on right now, I think it'd be the perfect time to have the conversation. Pay attention to Exhibit A.
We're going to head to the race for New York City mayor and a new controversy. Jennifer Bisram reports Zohran Mamdani's past is being questioned.
This is politics. This is New York, so literally anything can happen.
The latest polls show Queens Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani as the New York City mayoral frontrunner, beating former Governor Andrew Cuomo and Mayor Eric Adams. But the 33-year-old Democratic nominee, who identifies as a Muslim immigrant from South Asian descent, is coming under fire for a label he claimed as a high school senior applying for college. According to internal data from a hack of Columbia University, the New York Times obtained, Mamdani, who was born in Uganda, checked a box that he was Asian, but also checked the box for Black or African American on his Columbia University application during a time when elite colleges factored in race in the admissions process.
So what that means is, since we want to cry and complain about DEI and affirmative action, Zohran Mamdani, that cosplayed his way to becoming the mayor of New York City, took a college opportunity away from a foundational Black American child. And then, after he did so, he sat in New York City in our house and said, immigrants built this country and now they run this city.
New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant.
After he used your vote to do it. We see what SEIU is doing with the Juneteenth celebration. I mean, we all saw that flyer, right? Yeah, I just want to reiterate, the colors of the Juneteenth flag, they were chosen for a reason because they all have a meaning, but they don't know about that. But again, right? Crazy ass white folks and white supremacy, when it seems like everybody's playing in our face. Just ask Rick Chow. And again, when I hear that, the white man and people's arguments that never actually are based on fact, I had to react. So I sent, which I'm going to put up on the screen, but I sent a video of the chair of the Democratic Socialist Party saying what their mission statement was and what they want to do with the American people and the American government. I'll let you see it here.
I am tired of a set of people on the very far left in the Democratic Party, my party, telling us that in order for us to be progressives, we now have to believe ideas and support ideas that are completely nuts.
You got a set of defunding, decriminalizing, open borders. We have run that play and gotten our butts kicked. We don't need to do it a second time to see if it turns out, if the movie turns out any different.
Prominent Democrat voices pushing back on the growing influence of the Democratic Socialist candidates they say are ultimately going to hurt the Democrat Party. So let's talk about it with the national co-chair of the Democratic Socialists of America, Megan Romer. Megan, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Shannon.
Okay, so there's this growing conversation about whether you can exist within the party, whether you want to upend it for your own purposes, a totally different platform. The Daily Economy quotes you saying this at a DSA convention last year. We will win by making conditions so intolerable for the ruling class that they would rather give in to our demands than continue to live with the disturbance we cause until we are able to fully seize power ourselves. Is that aimed at the Democrat Party?
It's aimed from the working class to the ruling class. So the two-party duopoly, the two corporate parties, it is aimed at both of them, and it comes from the working class.
So should Van Jones and Rahm Emanuel and James Carville and all of the establishment Democrats be worried about DSA plans from within their tent?
The establishment Democrats should be worried about the voters and about what the voters think and about what the constituency thinks. And right now they have not been delivering, and our candidates are and have been, and it's resonating with voters.
So Jamie Harrison, who was the DNC chair, after you guys had such a big night in New York City and knocking off some of those incumbents and having success with your candidates in the congressional primaries, he said, if you hate the Democratic Party, then don't run for our nomination. Don't use our resources. Don't rely on our volunteers. Don't use our infrastructure. Focus on building the party you actually support. Other Democrats out there saying this is a separate party, the DSA. You don't belong within the party. How do you respond to his statements there?
Yeah, I mean, the two parties have, over years and decades, created a system where ballot line access is extremely difficult for third parties. I also have been told a lot of times by Democrats, don't vote third party, it's wasting your vote. So we run on the Democratic ballot line where it makes sense. We run independents sometimes, where that is a viable possibility, but it's a ballot line. And what matters is what the voters think, and the voters are overwhelmingly choosing our candidates.
They certainly did in New York and in other places, Colorado and others. It's not just a big city phenomenon or just a blue coastal phenomenon. Sure. Okay, so we're going to put up on the screen a few of the things that are part of your platform. And I want to ask you, just give me sort of a true or false on these. Abolish the Senate.
True.
Okay, replace the presidency and Supreme Court as we now know them.
Yep.
Abolish ICE.
Absolutely.
Abolish borders and give amnesty to anyone currently in the U.S. illegally.
As a long-term plan, yep.
Defund the Pentagon.
Absolutely.
Abolish prisons, at least in large part.
Yeah, again, that as part of a long-term program, yeah.
Okay, so no prisons. Government or public ownership of most large corporations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so then let's go back through some of those then. Abolish the Senate. There are people who are in the Senate now who are very supportive of DSA. They lose their seats?
Well, the Senate is an anachronistic institution. It comes from the British House of Lords. It is made to protect power for, the Senate was part of the system that was made to make sure that the people didn't have too much of a say. So we want to expand Congress significantly, but make it a unicameral legislature.
Okay, and without the presidency and Supreme Court, so abolish ICE. Would there be any enforcement of immigration laws, or with abolishing the border, we're not enforcing immigration laws, they go away?
Yeah, so again, this is part of this longer term plan, and part of it
But if you
includes,
can get there.
Yeah, I mean, if we can get to the place where the U.S. is not destabilizing countries in order to mine them for resources, there will be significantly less migration.
What do you say to those, though, that would potentially destabilize the U.S.? Because there's only so much the economy can bear, and when you have a flood of people coming in, it might not work out economically, according to a lot of analyses, if you just open up the borders and there's no enforcement at all.
Well, we're not saying open the borders tomorrow. We're saying rebuild an economy and a society that works for everyone. And the open borders is part of a longer-term international plan that involves us stopping destabilizing countries. Most people who are coming to this country are coming as economic refugees, and we destabilized their country. We did that.
Well, a lot of, if you look at data, the Center for Immigration Studies says right now the households here in the U.S. that are headed up by people who are here illegally, nearly 61% of them are on some type of government or welfare program here in the U.S. Can we afford to do that? I mean, at some point you run out of resources.
Well, right now we make it very difficult for people to participate in society in such a way that they can avoid using services. So we want people to be able to work and live and go to school and actually participate, which means contributing to society and also getting what they need from society. It's a collective choice we can all make.
So if we talk about abolishing prisons, then does that make society better? I mean, is there anybody that should be incarcerated? I mean, rapists, child predators, murderers?
Yeah, so the long-term plan, when we think about most people who are in prison, they are mostly in prison for crimes of poverty. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the really, like the murders and rapists of the world. So when we get rid of this need for crimes of poverty to exist, when we get rid of that destabilizing force that creates so many people who are living in desperate situations and doing desperate things, that brings those numbers down to very small numbers, and then we can collectively decide what we do with those people. I suspect it won't look like the prison system as we know it today.
Okay, but you do think some people need to be locked away from society?
Some people are not able to be functional members of society. That's true. But what does that look like to keep the rest of us safe? We're talking about safety. We're not talking about punishment. We're talking about making sure that we're safe, everybody's safe, everybody maintains their dignity, and everybody maintains their humanity.
Okay, so much more to discuss. I hope that you will come back, especially as we figure out what the party does with respect to you, meaning the Democrat Party, and your role in it, and in 2028 especially. Megan Frommer, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
That being said, after I sent it, my response to this individual was no stats. The co-chair of the Democrats telling you outright, so this isn't real. Their direct response to that was Fox News. Come on, the most racist news outlet. That was their response. Fox News, come on, the most racist news outlet. Now I want to scroll down. So I sent to this same person. So what you're telling me is that when the woman herself literally said that this is what they support and are actively doing, the same party our mayor is a part of, you're still going to stick with they are racist when she herself clearly said it, to which you can see the thumbs up. So even when people tell you who they are, you refuse to believe them. They created this coalition to use and abuse you. Everything that's happening is because of what is happening. And that I cannot unsee. We're told we were dirty and uncultured and uneducated for helping the world. And people seem to forget that we're the ones that are at home. But you can't call us dirty in our house and then ask us for help when we see, per the numbers, they won't even fight for themselves. So if they're not fighting for themselves because they're scared of getting removed in a country that they came into to no port of entry, how does that help you as a union member when the union depends on the people standing in solidarity and fighting together? And then on top of that, the elders who were trying to out the Members First Unity Slate follow and believe in identity politics because of the white man. But I've shown you all the receipts that I have and what I've went through. Somebody tell me what white man stepped up and fucked George Gresham over and lied about his name. Please show me what white man or white woman did that to George or to all of you. What white man is not representing you? Please share with me. Because I know what everybody that's been my opposition up to this point. Because see, and I'll show you what I said to this person, because I hate hearing the fucking excuse. When it was time to go to war with the white man, I did all of this, and this, and this. And then I put it up for the world to see and made a play-by-play video booklet on telling you what the law is. One-party state law. You have the right to record. The Whistleblower Act. I have broken it down, filing EEOC charges. The National Labor Board filing charges with them. I have told everyone how to do this process and what I've been doing and showing you what I've been doing and what I've been dealing with. And again, what white man outside of my initial fight has been opposition for me except for Mr. Ashby, Laura Goodwin, Snuff, the Magic Snow Dragon, or Evelyn Campos Santos, the Madam of the Diabolical Den of Demons, and so on and so forth. So when you sit back and say, well, when this group does this, they're racist, but this group's doing the same thing, and they look like you, and they're doing everything to usurp you and undercut you, but you don't care. But we're going to blame the white man for that? For your cognitive dissonance, your Stockholm syndrome, your refusal to accept reality and the facts because of how you feel. I understand how it feels, but I also know how it feels to be told that I'm dirty because I was born here.
Who?
You.
As far as? I'm Haitian. Why? Where you from? What's your background? You American? Dirty black American?
Wait, what?
Huh?
That I don't know who I am, I don't have no culture, when I'm literally older than damn near half of the countries on the continent of Africa. I'm not trying to make this about the diaspora, but I'm trying to get you to see what is going on. So when Governor Hochul gets on national television and says that black kids in the Bronx don't know what a computer is, but Yvonne Armstrong is standing there in solidarity, holding her hand, making
Black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word computer is. They don't know. They don't know these things. And I want the world open up to all of them, because when you have their diverse
deals with her, as she is the one that created the state budget to strip health care, but wants to point the finger at other people. You're being used and you're being played, because the same people that I helped are the same people that told me at George's funeral, what are you doing here? You're here to cause trouble. But again, that's that POC coalition shit. Mejora la raza. I've got the receipts. The other thing that I find totally diabolical is that I have been told things that I have this receipt, I spoke to this person, I have this email chain. Oh, they're sending memorandums about you and the union hall, blah, blah, blah. Oh, really? Well, so produce it so that we can show it to the members so that they know that I'm not up here just talking out my ass. But these things never materialize. So doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting different results is the definition of insanity, and I'm far from that. But when people in one breath look at me crazy because I say I can see what's going on because the mind's eye knows all, and then when it happens and I speak about it, everybody still wants to play dumb. I mean, the same people that are framing themselves as leaders are the same people that are sending me scripts for the videos that I produce of shit that I did 2 weeks ago. Which means that you're not leading. You're not leading. And the one thing I can say, love them or hate them, one thing is true. I can respect a good work ethic and hard hustle. And the one thing I can say about the Members First Unity Slate is they put all of their dogma, their personal ideology, and what they believed or how they felt to the side. And they did the work. But when you're going to sit there and lie to yourself and throw support behind people who think you're dumb, because we know here, ethnically, if you're black, they mean American. We've heard it 1,000 million times.
I am not a black American. I am a black Haitian American. And trust me, all black Haitian Americans claim to be Haitian Americans or just Haitian. We never claim to be black American, and we're not doing that now. So please miss us with whoever is confusing. Any Haitian person you meet, ask them, like, yo, where you from? What are you? They'll be like, Haitian. Hey, what's your name? Pierre, Jean, France, something, Haitian. You're gonna know off that. We Haitian. We never strayed from that. We love repping that. We're very prideful of that. So I don't know why anyone would think that we're trying to become anything but Haitians.
African Americans in this country are the only groups. They have no culture. It depends on who you meet, where you meet them.
But currently, there's not an African American culture?
No.
Yes, there is.
What is it? Name 2 value systems in the African American culture.
Value system?
Yes. Name 2 taboos in the African American culture system. Name 2 traditions, by the way, in the African American culture system. There is no value for freedom if you don't understand what it is. The concept of free. You have to have a foundation on which it would balance when you ask for it. Civil right, they give it to you. You have no culture. Nancy, you've been here, born here. Why would you be surprised if I say African Americans don't have a culture? What, twerking? So anything
but I feel like African American culture has definitely
you say
mainstream.
No, you say the word, the African American culture. What is it? Okay, fine.
Like hip hop.
Oh,
not
Jesus
hip hop. I mean, I don't want to. Yes, I feel like
you haven't thought about it. It's fine. Don't make things up.
I'm not making it up.
Okay,
I feel like
then educate me. You feel. You should know. You were born and raised here.
Yes, but I have a Haitian.
Are you African American?
I'm Haitian American.
That's correct. Do you see why you were being specific with that? Because anybody who encounters you already knows you before. If they know you are Haitian, at least 2 things comes to their mind.
What is that?
If they've been to Haiti, they can look at work ethics and they say, yes, Haitians, I know them. Service industry, they know where they do well. Food, they can say yes. And even language, Creole.
Right.
And they can say, oh, I love Haitians. Because they saw the culture in abstract before they encountered you. So people go over the bridge of your culture, your tradition, your customs, and that helps them to know how to
address it.
Exactly. I'm saying to you, any people who ask for these things, which are abstract, freedom, for example, independence, for example, and civil right, for example, voting right, for example, you must have a foundation on which these things are going to balance. Because the people there have to uniformly agree with consensus. This is our way of life. The do's and the don'ts involved in our culture. Even if you have to create an artificial culture.
Is that why the civil rights movement is considered dead?
It's dead and useless. They got it, but they could not balance it on any foundation.
But you're aligning yourselves with people who have historically, the white people who have historically been actually preying on your community. And now they have imported and set up a system where half of the workforce in your city are foreigners. And many of those foreigners are not here legally, which directly affects you because it weakens the people's power of the union. Because now we cannot stand in solidarity because people are afraid to be sent back to their place of origin because they came here illegally. I'm not here to argue politics. I'm here to talk about the facts. So if you feel, and I'm sorry, because I don't care how you feel, but if anything I said was incorrect, you can leave it in the comments and tell me where I was wrong. But do not start off with, well, I feel like this, or I'm a child of God and we have to do all of this. Because if you pay attention to what's happening in the rest of the world, everybody knows something that we don't know. Because as TPS is ending, when they say that we're racist and xenophobic, the rest of the world, including the region they came from, is treating them worse than we ever have.
NBC News has learned Haitian migrants who were deported to Haiti today attacked pilots and immigration officers on another flight after it landed in Port-au-Prince. So the plane carrying single adult men were released from the aircraft to Haitian authorities on the airport tarmac. Then NBC News reports several of those men stormed another recently arrived jet carrying families. The Biden administration has been ramping up the flights after more than 15,000 mostly Haitian migrants crossed into Texas from Mexico and set up a makeshift camp under a bridge. In Del Rio, here's NBC's Morgan Chesky.
Shep, numbers are going down here in Del Rio, but there are still about 8,600 migrants beneath the border bridge about a half mile from where I'm standing. Processing those people an absolute priority because of the brutal conditions here. It's still reaching about 100 degrees during the day. And while they are getting a little food and water, I have had migrants tell me what is being handed out is not enough. As it stands right now, we know that many of these migrants have been taken to nearby shelters and/or processing centers. We had a chance to speak to one 25-year-old man who told us that he's on his way to Houston before hopefully connecting with family in Brooklyn. But he told us of the struggles beneath that bridge for the past week with his pregnant wife, saying that at one point he swam back to Mexico to buy enough food and water so that his family would be okay because he couldn't rely on what was being handed out by the government. Now, we heard from Secretary Mayorkas earlier today, who said despite the current size of the encampment here, the goal is to have everything cleared out, everyone processed within the next 10 days. However, when you see the sheer size of it still beneath that bridge, it remains to be seen if that will actually happen in the next week or so. Shep?
Morgan, thanks.
We don't want no murderers. We don't want no rapists. We don't want no pedophiles here.
They're too bigoty. The Haitians have their country. The Bahamians have their country. And it is our country, and we could decide how we want to run our affair.
Take a little bit too long. From they buying the Bahamian flag, they're supposed to be deported out here.
How our government could give them privilege to have Flag Day in the Bahamas. On top of that, they've actually disfigured our flag by burning it. They also had parades for their various leaders in the Bahamas.
When most of them come here, they've already gotten everything free. I mean, and some of them are they owned restaurants and fruit stands and all of this stuff. Why not have them pay their own ticket back?
When you come into this country legal, then you have your children, they born here illegal. You understand? It becomes now a burden on the country that they exist in.
Additionally, there are many Bahamians who feel that governments of the day took far too long to deal with this immigration problem, which has enabled illegal migrants to feel that they are more than equal in this country.
Bahamas, listen carefully. TPS for Haitians in the United States has ended. Over 500,000 people must leave the U.S. by February 2026. And many are looking to come to the Bahamas instead of going back home to Haiti. At the same time, our government is pushing an asylum bill, a bill that is promised to Haitian influencer and soon-to-be PLP Senator Louis Georges that will change our country forever. This bill stops Haitians from being charged for illegal entry, stops them from being charged for overstaying, stops them from being charged for paying bribes or carrying fake documents, and it gives them immunity from prosecution, guarantees food and shelter, and opens a direct pathway to citizenship. This bill legalizes illegal entry and weakens our immigration department. Bahamians, this is not politics. This is national survival. We need to stand up for our country, and we need to stand up before we lose our country. Get out there and march. Do what you got to do to protect our country.
I told them to go to hell.
Stay on your side of town, because here's what is happening in the Dominican Republic. As of next week, 10,000 patients per week
and they're serious.
Will be repatriated.
They're serious with that because they have done it before, Shanique, and they've got to take the sovereignty of their nation seriously. They've got to take care of their people. Okay? Yes, you help people one at a time when you can, but you can't help loads and thousands of people, and that is the approach that we need to take. Nobody, the UN or none of these other countries, is going to say to the Dominican Republic, here is some funds to help you to subvent the cost of you having the burden. They don't do it to the Dominican Republic. They don't do it to us.
Because we are small countries of color.
And the cleaner had to go to the United States Embassy and find out that the people are coming out with your country. The government lied to us. That is an act of treason, untrue, mental, boldness. And the government must resign to go to prison. Amen.
They in fact said everyone can come here except for them. That's very unfortunate, and I'm not here to even get into that. But what I am saying is just read the room. The same person that doesn't believe when the Democratic Socialists tell them what they're doing is the same person that told me that they didn't want to believe the numbers and statistics from Venezuela when they said they got the lowest murder rate in 60 years. And when they asked the people tabulating the numbers, why was the murder rate so low? The first thing on the list was immigration. Mamaless, Kamala's kids. But yeah, it is what it is. Y'all do with that what you will. Good luck to you. But if you want to beat this dragon, you have to cut off the head of the serpent. And you can't do it with a weak arm. It is what it is. Take it how you want to take it. Feel how you want to feel about it. Not my cross to bear. But I've got all the receipts that I can back up everything that I've said. And when I tell you the rationale and the reasoning but why people do or think the things they do, it's the wildest shit to me, and it's actually fucking scary. So maybe, just maybe, you are in better hands with the Members First Unity Slate, because they at least aren't lying to themselves about who and what they are. Y'all be safe out there.